Alright, here we go, YouTube. Quick follow-up video of the young Birmingham rollers. And as you guys can see, they all look pretty happy. Nice and healthy. So we are about 15 days into training so far since we first released the birds, and as far as opening the door for them and allowing them to free fly. And like I've mentioned before, I don't like to spook the birds. I like to let them do what they want to do as far as taking their first flight. So in the previous video, I showed you guys how I teach them to land, how I teach them to eat. I always keep their nice clean water so that way they are nice and healthy. This is the last video we did of the young rollers. What I've been doing is I've been opening their door and just allowing them to fly however much they want and how they want. So let's go ahead and let them out today. So what I like to do is just open the door, step back, let the birds do what they like to do, and don't force them. My biggest thing for training young birds is not forcing the bird. It's allowing the bird to do what it likes to do as far as comfort. You don't want to spook it and have it scared of you. Patience is going to play a really big part, because a lot of people are going to want to see their birds fly, so they say, well, heck, let me just spook them out. And for me, that's the worst thing a trainer can actually do, because the birds, like you guys can see there, they'll naturally choose when to fly when they're comfortable. And that's part of training. That's the part that helps me a lot as far as training, is allowing the birds to feel comfortable and not spooking them, and just letting them do everything under their comfort. So this is what we mean by a lot of patience. The birds are just gonna fly in and out. Some will stand at the top, which is a very good indication, because the birds are standing around observing their surroundings before they actually take flight. So a lot of people will tell you don't spook your birds, but they won't tell you why not to spook your birds. There's no reason behind it. So for me, the reason behind it is they're allowed to do what you guys are seeing them do right now, and that's look around with all comfort and not being spooked. So that allows them to learn their surrounding, gives them a better chance at coming back home once they do take flight. So what I'll do is I'll let them hang out. I'll put a little bit of feed on that tray, but as you guys can see, they're not even interested in the feed. The birds are still on all you can eat. They're hungry. They're just not interested in the food because they're more interested about what's going on, the door being open, them flying around, their surroundings. But if I were to put this tray inside of that box, they'll all react to the feed. So in all, it does take management. You got to have really good control of the birds. And if you follow some of the little tips and tricks that I've shown, you'll get them to do just what they're doing right now. I would like for all of them to jump out onto the tray. That way I could close the door behind them, and what that'll do, it'll cause them to stand up on top of the cage, and maybe even cause some of them to take flight. Got some of the birds took up to the air, which was just a pair of them, most likely nestmates. So this is what I really like to see. I like the first bird, the second bird, maybe 2 or 3 go up at a time. And what that helps you is if one does drift off too far, it's not taking all the birds with it. You'll always have that one older bird that leads everyone back. So this is the fun part here when the birds start to fly. And then hopefully the rest of these little guys will take up pretty soon. Got about 5 or 6 birds flying now. One of the blacks finally took up. So got a bunch more that took up, as you guys can see, right on their own. So here's the fun part now, guys. The birds are up. They're gonna be all over the place for the first few days. What I've come to learn with some of these birds too is it takes about maybe, with my birds, I wouldn't say about 10 flights when the birds are flying just like this before they actually start to come together and following each other, just due to them learning that they can actually fly now. It'll take some time for them to slow down and relax and understand that they're flying together now. So we have a total of 14 in the team. So we got 4 in the box. That means we got 10 in the air. So the last 4 birds decided to jump out. So now what I did was I shut the door. And what that's gonna cause is it should cause all the birds to come back and land right on top of their kit box, because they're trying to come back in this door. They're so used to doing the back and forth that they don't know how to land nowhere else but inside of their kit box. So what I like to do is shut it and then get them all to come and land on top of here. Once they're all back on top of here, that's when I'll open the door for all of them. So as of right now, we got 13 in the air. Got this little guy here. I think that's the littlest one out of them all. That's why he hasn't taken up. Got some of the birds landed already. Young birds get tired really easily, so you'll see these guys come down quick. Got some of the birds trickling in one by one, and that's a good sign because that means they're homed. So we do have most of the birds back in. Got these 3 guys hanging out up here, and then got most of them back in the kit box. So gonna go ahead and feed them, get the rest of the birds in, and then get them nice and fed. So got most of the birds in. On the day that the birds take flight like that and I see all the birds go up, what that tells me is they're pretty much all real nice and strong and healthy. So on that particular day is when I switched to 15.5 no corn, and this is the grain mix that I use. The birds are showing me that they're strong, they're healthy, they're ready to go. So this is when I introduced them to the grain, just because this is when I want to start controlling their strength as far as where they're at. I don't want the birds getting fat, so the 22% at this point is not going to do us any good. So going to our 15.5 no corn, all you can eat. After the birds start to kit and fly a good flight time, that's when we start to cut down on the grain. So the birds won't never see a cut down until they actually start kitting and flying together. So we do have most of our birds in. We do have one more little guy out there, but sure he'll come back right now. So once he's in, we will feed the rest and get them nice and fed, all you can eat, and go from there. So I'll keep you guys updated as we go. They should start kitting soon, and we'll go from there.